NASA has given us on Earth the view impression of what Mars is. It's not just a dreary, browned out, ghost of a place. It's very much like Earth. So I want to get back to Venus because one of the things that coming in the last days, folks, is that when this second coming of Jesus is to take place on Earth, it's going to come from the east. Because what they're going to do is they're going to make it look like they're coming from the sun. Because they want to mimic and mock the real return of the Son of God. And so they're going to do it as closely as they can through their home base on Venus. And they also have Nibiru coming in. Don't forget, it's going to have a lot of forces that will be able to transform themselves and look angelic. I think what's going to be the single most amazing factor is how angelic they look and how well they pull this off. Because look at how many church people today in the whole Pentecostal denomination, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands, and almost a huge handful of them allegedly coming in contact with angels at night. Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, they'll have their experiences with one of them, and they've all been deceived by that. Every one of them been deceived. They weren't angels of God. They were Satan's mimics of righteous and holy angels. And they've been able to deceive people on earth for millennia. I mean, for thousands of years now, especially since the 1900s. There's no doubt that these angels being sent, if you look at the real visits of the Lord's angels, they came as people. Very rarely did Michael or Gabriel appear in angelic form, for a purpose, to make an announcement. They didn't come in the middle of the night and give people hogwash doctrine and theologies. Or take them on an elf god ride and give them a televised NORAD vision of something from the future. They've used NORAD for this for years because NORAD has all these, big screens and it's mountains and coincides with Venus, with the rolling landscapes of Venus and near-death experiences. People often ask me about near-death experiences, and I always revert back to Venus and how the Sananda, this Jesus, has this whole planet to play with, with Venus. And I talked about in the Venus Alien Trap how Venus is the perfect place to stage near-death experiences. Or being able to pull people's spirits out of their bodies and giving them false visions. Because most people who have had near-death experiences, some of them can describe the being they saw, and they'll describe Sananda. They describe Sananda, and Sananda is not the Son of God. Sananda doesn't even look like the Son of God. He's just Jesus. He's the Michelangelo portrait of Satan's general, and they're describing Satan's general. Sananda does not even look like the real Son of God. And so if they're describing this Jesus, they've been hoodwinked by Sananda. But the deceptions are going to be very good, because when they come to earth with the Son of God, this fake Son of God, this Sananda, they're going to look like angels. They're going to be the total personification and embodiment of an angel from heaven. And what's really going to be gagging is if they start to sing. I'm really going to be dying here if this host from heaven starts to sing hymns and praises. So it'll be interesting. And they're going to descend from the east, from the sun, down to earth. And by then the whole world's pretty much, I'm sure we'll be able to see a lot of it. It just grabs our attention. I don't know how they're going to get everybody outside to watch this procession that they're going to have planned, this Hollywood production. But sorry to say, it is going to fool a lot of people. It's going to fool a lot of people. The majority on earth are going to be deceived by it. That's how good it's going to be. And I'm sure that even as the Lord's elect on earth are sitting here watching this spectacle, that we'll be impressed at how good it is. I think we will be appalled at the same time, impressed that they were able to pull it off, and also praying for their destruction at the same time. I don't know if they're going to come down on UFOs, or they're going to get to a certain point in our atmosphere and he's going to jump out of his UFO and act like he's floating down to Earth. I don't know what he's going to, I don't know how they're going to do it. But I would encourage the Lord's people, if you see a UFO, pray for it to crash. You can go to war still then. We're still fighting. Every breath you have, you should be fighting all the time against Satan and his kingdom. And so, perfect time when you see this spectacle coming down from the heavens to pray for all of them to crash. I know the orgone's going to help a lot in that aspect. And just disrupting Satan's kingdom and his plans here on Earth. Because this stuff is really just right around the corner. It literally really is. When I see the codes now, is that other than them targeting to shut me up, they're coming after the Christians under the guise of ICE, the Immigration Customs Enforcement Agency. Have seen in the codes where they're already swarming, and they are seeking to segregate Yah's 144,000 from the rest of the earth. This population, which means they're coming after them to imprison them, to get them away, to segregate them away from everybody else. And why is that? Why is that? And the amazing thing is that most of the 144,000, a huge chunk of them are just lazy to begin with. A huge chunk of them are doing nothing. But there are many that are busy doing things, doing exploits for the Lord in the last days. But these things are coming because when I said, weeks ago, I was wondering why I'm always seeing ICE in the codes, and then this agency, Homeland Security, coming up all the time, and now becoming more and more dominant. I think in the first 2 weeks of June, from the 4th to the 19th or something like that, there's going to be 30,000 federal officers on the highways, and supposedly they're just doing checkpoints to see if you have insurance, if you have your seatbelt on, and blah blah blah. Don't play the violin too long on that one. They're looking for the Lord's people, and that's exactly what I think's going on. I think they're going to be checking their lists. FEMA's got the lists. You've heard of them: the red list, the yellow list, the blue list, and the green list, and the changes. The colors change. But the red list has always been those that they want to terminate and execute immediately. And so, if you're driving and the Lord tells you not to go a certain way, don't go that way. Pay attention to your intuition, because it's usually the Lord speaking to you. Most people ignore that. Most people explain that away as being just their intuition or whatever, when it's actually the Lord speaking to them. And so listen for your intuition if you're driving and the Lord's trying to warn you not to go a particular route, especially in the month of June, because they are going to be doing pickups, I believe. A lot of pickups, some kind of pickups. The Lord always seems to protect me from a lot of things. I know if you're in the cities, folks, now's a really good time to start thinking of getting out of them. Get out into the countries. Get away from the cities. I know I just had an email today from a friend and a supporter of my ministry, and telling me everything the Lord had been showing him, and it was just confirming everything the Lord just told me years ago. And so I know a lot more people that keep praying and seeking Him for the truth. He's being able to teach and lead.